Hi and welcome to my channel. My name's Teresa and I'm the car boot crafter, and it's time for a folio. So I'm going to have a go at making a folio for myself, something I want to do for me. So this is a mock-up of it, and it's something I found on TikTok of all places actually. Never knew there was a craft section on TikTok. But yeah, so this is what was on there. It went so quick that it's really difficult to follow, but I've played it over and over, and I've then done this mock-up so that I can kind of work out the sizes and what have you for it. So I thought I'd show you my interpretation of that video, and if I remember, I'll pop it in the description box below if you want to pop over and have a look. So I'm going to pop that to one side, and I'm going to make it for myself using the Hummingbird papers, which are absolutely stunning papers. But there are some papers in here that I just did not know what to do with, and it's these ones. But I'm going to use these ones for my folio. You'll need 4 pieces of 12 by 12 papers, or you can use 8 by 8s and some scraps if you want. It's entirely up to you, but I'll give you all the measurements anyway. So this is the papers I'm going to use, and what you're going to do, you're going to cut it down so that you have one piece that is 8 by 8. And then that leaves you with a strip that's 12 by 8. So cut that down to, 12 by 4. So cut that down so it's 8 by 4. And then you've got this one here, which is already 8 by 4. This piece isn't scrap. We're going to use that later on as well. So keep hold of that. And you'll do those measurements with 2 of the papers. Okay. Then, and I'll just move these out of the way because I don't need that one this time. Then you'll do exactly the same with this paper. So you'll cut yourself an 8 by 8 and then cut down the 12 by 4 so that you've got an 8 by 4 and a 4 by 4 left over, and that is an 8 by 4 as well. Then this 8 by 8 that you've got here, you're going to cut this down as well so that you've got one piece that is 4.5 by 8, and this piece, now this piece is up to you what size you cut it, because this is going to be your flap over. So this is going to be this little flap over here, but I didn't like it that length. I thought that was too big, so I've cut it down. I cut 3/4 of an inch off, so this now measures 8 by let me see, 8 by 3.25 on that piece. But if you like that longer flap, then that's fine. This is a little bit of scrap, but I might use it somewhere else on the decorations. So that's how you cut 3 of your papers. And the last one you'll do is a 12 by 12, and you'll just cut off 2 pieces that measure 8 by 4. I had a scrap piece that I've used, and then I just sliced the bottom off this for another 8 by 4 inch. So you need 2 extra pieces that are 8 by 4. Okay, let's pop that out the way because that's a nice big piece for me to use in another project. So that's out my way, and I do need this scoreboard, so I'm going to turn it round. So what you're going to do with one of your pieces, decide which one you want as your back piece and your flap over. So we're going to work on this piece first, so this section. So all you're going to do is, and I'm going to have my my hummingbird at the back, so I want it that way around. And you're going to score this at 2 and 2.25. So 2 and 2.25. And that's all you need to do for that piece. Roll that over and fold it. Making sure you keep that nice and level and straight. Make sure these edges match up. and then score at the 2 1/4, sorry, fold at 2 1/4. Didn't do what I normally do, which is to flip it over and do it on the other side, did I? That's why it's fighting me a little bit. And that then gives you, I'll just roll that up a little bit, that then gives you that. So that's the back of our folio, which I think looks stunning. And then you've got this flap over piece here. And then just to sort of give it a bit more of a finished look, I'm just going to round those 2 corners on the flap over bit. So they're just rounded off with any corner rounder that you've got, or by hand. So that's the first piece done. Then bring in your second piece. Now this second piece now is going to be this piece here, but it's also going to be this pocket here. So let me show you how to do that. So that's going to be my back. That's going to be where my pocket is. So this is the way I'm going to turn it round. So you're going to score this piece at 2 1/4 and 2 1/2. So 2 1/4 and 2 1/2. And I will flip this over and do that again. 2 1/4 and 2 1/2. Okay. I'll pop that out the way for now, and we'll need it again in a minute. And fold them over and reinforce those score lines. Okay, and I do like to make sure that these edges are all lined up when I fold my score lines over. So, there we go, there and there. So reinforce those score lines like that. Then bring in, this is a 1 1/2 inch circle punch, and I'm just going to clip a little bit as a finger lift, and I'm doing it by eye like that. So that's going to be my finger lift. You can go over this now with some you know, some ink if you want to. I'll just do a little bit across the top there like that. Don't want to put too much because this paper is so pretty. And this then, if I bring this over, this then is going to glue onto there like that. And the reason I've inked is so that you can see, because otherwise if I'd have joined it, you're not going to see the join very well. So I'm going to fold that back a little bit on that first score line, grab my glue, and I'm just going to go down here along. So there's my 2 score lines there. I'm folding on the first one. I'm just going to go down that side and across the bottom and up the other side. So the 2 short edges across the bottom like that, and up this edge as well. I've done both of those short edges, leaving this part without any glue on. So I'm just going to spread the glue around a little bit on the bottom here like that. Pop my glue to one side, and then making sure that that is folded flat, I'm going to bring it across onto here, and whichever way works for you in terms of gluing that. I like to line things up on my scoreboard so this is nice and straight, and then butt it up to each other like that and flip it over. There we go. So hopefully those joins are nice and straight. I'm just going to bring it over like that, just to make sure that I haven't gone over to this little 1/4 of an inch there, because that is our spine. I bring that up so you can see, so that I've still got that 1/4 of an inch spine at the bottom. Just going to pop it on the table like that. And actually what I should have done is done it the other way round, shouldn't I? Because now my hummingbird's upside down. But I'm going to live with that. I I did think of it before, and then obviously as soon as the camera goes on, everything goes to pot, doesn't it? So, but there you go. So there's my folio. There's the base of it. Okay, and we now have a little pocket here. Okay, so I'm going to pop that to one side to dry, and I'm going to bring in the 8x8s. Let's find them first. 8x4s, sorry. So you should have 8 of these 8x4 inch pieces. I've got 4 because I've already done 4 of them, and we're going to turn them into little coin pockets that sort of concertina out like that. It's all about the concertinas this year for me. I don't know why, it's just the way it's worked out. Right, I'm bringing my scoreboard back in. So pop your 8x4 in so that your 8's at the top, and you're going to score at 2, and then again at 5 3/4, and it's as simple as that. Now normally with a coin pocket I would score and have a little flap over and a little bit here that that folds up. I'm not doing it with these ones, and I'll show you why in a minute, but let me do these first really quickly. So you're going to do all 8 at 2 and 5 3/4. Let me do that 2 again, because that seems like it was a little bit on the wonk. And 5 3/4, fold them over. Now I am putting the pattern on the inside. There is method in my madness, and I'll tell you what that is shortly. Let's pop these back in and do them. So 2 and 5 3/4. I'm only going once, that's why they're fighting me, isn't it? Because I'm trying to be quick. But I need to score properly, don't I, rather than just trying to be quick. So score them like that. So again, 2 and 5 3/4. 2. That's it. We can get rid of that scoreboard for a moment again. Fold them all in. Now what you're going to do is to glue them. Now the reason I didn't, let me straighten that up a little bit. The reason I didn't put flaps at the bottom is because it would have made these a lot smaller. Even if I'd have only done, you know, 1/2 inch, it would have taken these down quite a lot. And I want them to be quite substantial. So again, bring your glue back in, and I'm going to line these all up. And I want the flaps to be going the same way so that they're a little bit uniform. It's not essential, but it is just the way I want mine to go so that they look a bit more uniform. So open them out, and you're going to glue along the bottom all the way to the end and up one side to make these little sort of coin pockets, if you like. And these then measure 4 inches by 3 3/4. Down the side like that. Fold your flap over. It doesn't matter whether it's the larger one or the smaller one. And then I put a bead of glue along that edge as well, like that. And the reason I do that is because I just put a single line down that side and a single line down that side. Let me just do that first, and then I'll show you on the next one. Let's leave that there under that. So when I put, so you can see there's a bit of an overlap there on the pocket. So if I put a line of glue there, it's going to catch this side of the pocket, this side of the flap, just outside there, because it comes across about 1/2 inch. So it's going to catch it at 1/2 inch. And if I do a line of glue here, it's going to catch this, not where I've put that first line of glue, but 1/2 inch over. So it just kind of reinforces things a little bit more. So a line of glue all the way along like that, and we go all the way along because when I fold it over that's going to overlap, so it'll catch it there as well. So it just gives a little bit more solidness to the gluing. So fold that piece over, line of glue, close edge. Don't go too close because what you don't want is to end up with the glue going inside the pocket and you ending up with a sealed pocket. Bring this piece over, and this is ever so slightly on the wonk, so I'm just going to make a little bit of an adjustment there. Right, let's get my bone folder in. Fold those both down, that's a bit better. And then pop that under there. I'm going to do the next one. I'm going to do these really quick because we've still got a bit to do. Not a ton, we're nearly there. And they do need these to dry a little bit as well before we use them. So I shall do the sort of envelopey bit next. Okay, nearly there. Down there, bring that across. Pop that under there, and last one, and we're done with these for a second or two. So all the way across like that, glue down there. So I want these to stick well because they'll have a little bit of pressure because we are going to concertina them like that. Okay, bring them all together, and I just like the flaps to go the same way, so I've got all my joins facing the same way, and what I'm going to do is run a bead of glue, well, a bead of glue, I zigzag backwards and forwards about 1/2 inch, just because that 1/2 inch gives you a little bit more hold, because these will be under a little bit of pressure, and just layer them up like this, backwards and forwards. If you want, if you're using thinner paper especially, or if you decide you want to actually put more pockets on this concertina part, then you can add more if you want to. I'd only add maybe another 1 or 2 pockets to each section, but otherwise you're going to bulk out quite a bit, and you might need to adjust the 1/4 inch gusset a little bit. So that's them all lined up like that. I am going to just, right, okay, so it's really important that these edges are straight, so I always put them so that the open end is on my mat, and just stomp them down a little bit to line them all up, and then I'll bring in these just to hold everything in place while they dry for a moment or two. I've already done one. You'll need to do this twice. Okay, right, now while they're drying I'm ready to move on to the next bit. So these 2 pieces that we had earlier that measure 4 1/2 and 2 1/4, I'm going to bring them in, and the larger one, and I have to think for a minute, that's going to be the bit that folds up. So the larger one we're going to score at 1/4 inch and at 1/2 inch. I'm going to go over that a couple of times because that's going to be a little bit more difficult to fold. So 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch. Okay, and then this one, now this is going to be the internal flap down, so let me just show you the bits that it's going to be. So the larger one is going to be this piece, and the smaller one is this piece. So pop that in, and if you've got directional paper, this is the bottom, so you're scoring at the top at 1/4 inch So all the way down like that. Okay, I can pop my scoreboard away again. And I'm just going to fold those over. Like that. All the way through. It is only a very thin little bit, but we didn't, well, you can make it bigger if you want to. Don't forget we cut off that 3/4 of an inch, so you could make it slightly bigger. Okay, I'm going to score on these, reinforce the score lines on these. Like that. And using the bone folder. Right, okay, and that gives us, on this one it gives us that, and on this one it just gives us that. Okay, again I'm going to bring in my corner rounder, and I'm going to corner round those edges like that, the corners that are not scored, corner rounding them like that. Okay, let's bring in the folio again. So here's my folio, and what I want to do is, using the big one, I want to glue it down here. Before I do that, I'd forgotten to do these. So these corners as well need corner rounding at the bottom of your folio. So that is going to glue onto there. This piece is going to glue on there like that. Okay, so let's get a little bead of glue along that. So on this one, let me just show you. So you've got that. So we don't want to glue on this edge, we're gluing on this edge. Okay, so don't glue on that. It's going to be like a bit of a gusset, if you like. So let's glue all the way down, spreading it out using the nozzle of the glue bottle as well, just so as it's got a little bit more contact. Now, because I've corner rounded here, I don't want to go all the way to the bottom, because that would have been a complete waste of time. So I'm just coming up just above where I've corner rounded. Doesn't matter, we've got room to play. So line up those edges. There we go. And I'm just pushing it down so that it goes into the card. Open it up very carefully, because I don't want it to slip, and it has. Let's do that again, making sure I'm lining up that. See, there you go, that was lined up beautifully. Now I can see the green of this paper just on that edge there, so I'm just going to very gently pull it round again. There we go, that lines that up. I'm going to hold that really carefully and use my bone folder to push that into the glue again. There we go, so there's that piece. Before we attach this, I want to attach these. Now these go inside, so let me just take those off. Those should hopefully have caught. What's going on there? Did I glue the, I put the pegs on the wrong end. Duh. Rookie mistake. Anyway, I'll just use my bone folder to push that glue together again. Hopefully it's been around long enough for it to grab. So what I'm going to do now is just run a line of glue along there, same way as I did when I was joining them all together. And I'm going to come about 1/4 of an inch in from the edge and line that up. And what I'm aiming to do is, there's the gusset, so I want it to run along this 1/4 of an inch score line. So I'm just above just this side of that score line, so that when I fold it over, it's all inside. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to do exactly the same with this one that I've already made. So let's get the glue on here, and I've put it so that the join is to the back, so you don't see it. Just makes it a little bit more handmade rather than homemade, just a little bit more thought. I'm going to again come 1/4 of an inch in from this edge so that they just butt up to each other. I'm just checking with that bit there that they're not it's not bothering it, so I can still fold that up like that. Okay, I'm going to give that a minute to dry, but while that is drying, I will now glue this piece. Now this piece now goes on here and flaps over so that it covers over like that. And actually, now I'm looking at it, I think that could do with the 1/4 of an inch as well. So let me grab my scoreboard. I wasn't going to, but then I was using thin paper, wasn't I? So every day's a school day. I'm going to pop that back on my scoreboard, butt it up, and score that at 1/2 an inch as well. I think that's going to help it to sit a bit better. 1/2 an inch. There we go. Right. I think that's going to help it sit a little bit better. Like that. This is the first one I've ever made of these, so you learn on the job, as they say. Right. There we go. I think that'll make a difference, having that bit of a gusset there. Okay, let's bring this back in, and I'm going to just, like the same as I did with this one, just a little bit of glue all the way down like that, and I'm going to use sides of the bottle nib just to spread it out a little bit so that it's got a little bit more traction with the glue. Okay, and then it's entirely up to you. So there's the internal score line, so you can go anywhere between there and that score line when you lay it down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it over it, decide where it looks good, which is there. I think that looks quite a nice length, and then just using my finger, just push the glue into the card there, making sure that that's quite that straight. I'm using the length there to make sure that it's nice and straight. Let's just use those dots as well. There we go, nice and straight on there, and then use my bone folder again to push everything in. You can come all the way down if you want to, but I just wanted to kind of do something that looked, you know, that looks from the outside, I thought was important. Okay, so there's that pocket made, and the last thing we're going to do with this is get your glue again, and this time we're going to run a bit of glue along the front. So you've got your 2 pockets here, and you're going to run a bit of glue up the middle of both of them, like that. And this will then help you to open your pockets if you want to. Another thing you could do, and I never thought about it till just, is you could use your circle punch to punch finger lift holes in them as well if you wanted to. I've not done that, so it's not especially important, I don't suppose. Right, okay, so line everything up. and use your bone folder to push that glue into that top flap. There we go. That comes over like that. And then these squares, so you should have, oh, that's a scrap piece, I should cut that piece down. So you should have 3 of these squares. No, yeah, 3 of these squares. Or is it 4? Where's the other one? Don't know. It'll turn up. It's on the desk somewhere. And these then you can either cut down or use them as they are. In fact, I think I'm going to use them as they are. I'm going to corner round them like that and pop them in there like that. And I think they're a really nice contrast against that green dotty paper, but this is something that can be used, or you know, any papers you like. You can use fairly plain papers and then zhuzh it up with the way you decorate it. This one I'm not going to put an awful lot of decoration on because the pattern is so it is so heavily patterned on these papers like that. I could put one in that way round, couldn't I? So there's a contrast. And then this one, this is a different, it's the same collection but it's different. So I'm going to cut this one down and use this as well. And any scraps that I do when I'm doing future projects, I might just keep them and add to this little folio. So let's chop this down. So 4 by 4, so that it matches the others. And let's just corner around these as well. There is another one. There's definitely another one, but I can't think where it is or where it's gone. It will be on the desk somewhere. So I've got 4 little journaling cards, or I could have them as journaling spots or photo mats even. And then when I open this up, I then have, I'm not going to pull it too much because it's still drying, I've got little pockets in here that I can now use to put little bits, and then there it is. I knew there was another one. Little bits of ephemera or what have you in them. I don't want to pull them too much because I don't want it all coming apart on me. So yeah, so there you go. That's another little folio, and all I need to do now is decorate it. Let's pop that one in there as well. So yeah, that's, I think, is a fun little folio that you can add all sorts of bits and pieces in there, and then it folds over. In fact, I'm going to get some Velcros and pop that on there, I think, so that that folds over